Hello, my friends. I hope everything is good and your experience is light. Today I want to talk about something that, I went back and I was reading some of the old Gnostic texts. Something that I can't help myself from doing. I always say that I've read something, I'm going to put it away and not go back to it, but that's not the case. I'm sure it's the same with a lot of you. But I was reading one of my favorite texts from the Nag Hammadi, and it's the Apocalypse of James. And it's where Jesus talks to James about basically how about James is about to be killed. But if you never read it, it's a pretty interesting story. But there's a part in that where Jesus says to James that he must release bitterness and also lawlessness in order to awaken, in order to move on. And I wrote this all out, and I'm going to read it out. And I'm trying not to do that in the real talks anymore because I know they don't sound original, but you guys know how I am, and I'll just ramble on if I don't do it this way. And if you don't know what bitterness is, if you don't really have an idea of what it means, basically, it's when pain or betrayal doesn't get released. Pain or betrayal from the past doesn't get released, and it just festers. And trust me, I know what that festering is like. It's the difference between feeling hurt in the moment and holding on to that hurt long after it's over. And many of us do that. Many of us live in the past, and hopefully that's why we're all here together now, is to get over it. It chains you to the past because instead of processing that wound, we nurture it and we replay it over and over, and we identify with it. That's the biggest problem, is we become that pain, which is not good. And I know how that is. I really do. It's one of those things that we don't even realize we're carrying until it's too heavy to put down. It will show up when you're sitting alone and your mind drags you back to that old relationship that fell apart, that friend who betrayed you, the family member who said words that cut deeper than they even knew at the time, the job you lost, those moments where you were made to feel small, unseen, and unloved. That's bitterness, holding on to those feelings. And instead of letting those things pass through us, we hold on to them like old Walmart receipts, like they're proof that the world owes us something, like proof that we're right to close off any new relationships, to harden up and to never trust anybody again. I know the feeling. I carried it myself for a very, very long time. Resentments from the past, people I thought I needed to prove wrong, the anger I held on to like it was giving me strength, but really all it ever did was keep me stuck in a cycle where I wasn't moving forward. I was just replaying the same old wounds in 100, if not 1,000,000 different ways. But the thing about bitterness is, it's like drinking poison every day and expecting it to heal you. It won't. It doesn't heal you, my friends. It will rot you from the inside out. It makes you live in your past, every argument, every failure, every loss. Like you've pressed repeat on your own suffering. You just keep on pushing the repeat button on your own suffering every time you think you have to stay living in your past. Think about it. How many times have you replayed a fight or an argument in your head? Not just once, but over and over and over again. Coming up with what I should have said, what I should have done. Meanwhile, the person that you were most likely in that argument or fight with is probably at home Netflixing and chilling. They're living their life and they're not even thinking about it. And yet, here you are. This is what bitterness does. It nails us down to yesterday. It steals our ability to move forward because our hands are too busy holding tightly onto the past. And you have to let go. You just have to. I've said it so many times in these talks. The real YHS said it. Everybody says it. You have to let go. I know it's not easy. I'm saying this to you that's listening right now. That one person, I can't forget about her. I can't forget about that. I can't forget about this. My friend, you have to let it go. On the flip side of this talk, I wanted to get into the other thing that Jesus said, and that was lawlessness. Now, most people, when they see that, especially a lot of my Christian friends, they think that that has something to do with sin and law and rules and government or whatever it may be. Listen, in my own opinion, that's not what he was saying. It wasn't in the sense of breaking rules or dodging the cops. I think he was talking about the kind of lawlessness where you live without an anchor. You know, it's kind of like my real talk recently about the dog inside of you. It's where you ignore your inner compass, your inner moral and ethic code, the code that you live not by, not the one that you were programmed into, but when you ignore that inner compass, where you stop holding yourself accountable because you've convinced yourself that nothing really matters. And I've lived that too. I lived that to the extreme, my friends. When I was drinking, when I was chasing after things that never brought me any real peace, when I was living for the next buzz, the next distraction, the next chick, the next fix for my emptiness, I've been there. That was lawlessness. And it felt like freedom in the moment, but it felt like freedom because nobody could tell me what to do. I was living on my own terms, but really I was drifting with no direction. It was pure chaos dressed up as freedom. And every morning I'd wake up asking, how in the hell did I get here again? And I never, ever once liked the answer. See, bitterness ties you down. Lawlessness makes you drift. And if you're caught in both, you're either stuck in yesterday or lost in today with no vision for tomorrow. But here's the truth. Here's my opinion on how you can do something about it. You don't have to stay there, because I didn't. And if I can step out of that cycle, trust me, my friend, you can step out of that cycle. You don't have to rehearse the past like a bad play you've already seen a million times. You don't have to pretend recklessness is freedom. Casting away bitterness doesn't mean forgetting what happened. It means refusing to let it own you anymore. It means saying, yes, that happened. Yes, it hurt, but it is not my whole story. It is not my story going forward. And casting away lawlessness means showing yourself enough respect to live with integrity, not perfection, not someone else's rules, but with integrity, with discipline of knowing this is who I want to be and walking in that direction no matter what. Don't allow anything to hold you back. Focus on being who and what you want to be. Bitterness will die the day you stop rehearsing the old wounds. Lawlessness will die the day you start honoring your own word. Benevolence, mercy, discipline. Those are my 3 words that I've used to rid myself of bitterness and lawlessness. I figured I'd share. Lawlessness will die the day you start honoring your own words. And together, that's the doorway to freedom. Not the freedom that comes from ignoring the past or for pretending that nothing matters, but the freedom that comes from living fully in the present, now, clear-eyed, grounded, alive in your experience. So my friends, cast them away, because life, this experience, is way too short to drag yesterday into tomorrow. And you are worth so much more than the chaos that tells you nothing matters. I love you all. Walk in light.